Welcome to Playing with Fire, the podcast for people who are ready to custom build their love.
We're talking about non-monogamy, however you design it, as an individuation opportunity.
Want to leave the default and make your life spectacularly you? You're in the right place. Can we have a listener question? I have gotten this question at least a dozen times in the last 2 months.
Well, I love listener questions in general, but this sounds like a particularly relevant one.
I mean, I think it's relevant and it's practical.
Practical. Good.
What should I do when my partner is out on a date and my anxiety just like whoop, bubbles to the surface? What do I do?
Okay, yeah,
And
that comes up.
it comes up a lot. And let's just say, first off, some people experience anxiety or fear or jealousy or what all the feels. Let's not just limit it to anxiety. There's all
Okay.
kinds of feelings that could come up. And some people experience this when their partner's out for any reason. If you have a lot of feels, you might, or if you are pretty enmeshed, you might feel a lot of stuff for any reason. But we're going to be specific here. When your partner goes out on a date, so your partner is going to have fun. Let's make it real clear. Let's paint a picture. My partner is going out. I know that they're meeting somebody that they've already connected with. There's juicy, yummy sexual energy, and they I know they're hooking up. This is happening. Like, this is sex. They're going to be gone, and I have to deal with my feels because this is the relationship I am in. Um, we're very different people. I think we deal with this very differently.
I think we do.
Um, so tell me what you would do. You've done this many, many times. What do you do when your anchor partner is out and you
Um,
have and do you even have I don't even know at this point what it feels like for you.
it feels like it. Okay, it has felt like a bunch of different things because let's face it, we don't go into every situation from the same point of view. We
Yeah.
have moods, we have days. If I've had a day where I don't know, work sucked or whatever, and I'm looking for support, and you're walking out the door to go do something fun, and I feel miserable, that's a very different situation from one where I've had a great day, lots of successes. I'm feeling great, and you're off to have fun, and I'm feeling good too. That's a completely different situation.
Yeah. So
Uh,
how well resourced you are has a
how
big
well
difference.
resourced, yeah.
Yeah.
And if I am, well, honestly, either way, um, I would find things that'll be fun for me. Like the very first thing I think of when you're going off on a date is, and I think I'm going to be at all knocked off balance by it. Yeah, I'm thinking about, so what am I going to do for me? How am I going to use the time while you're gone to feed me?
So what do you do?
I watch movies. I read. I will do some things that I know you don't want to do with me, more boring things. Sometimes, I thought I would play video games. The kids have got me on some games, but no, not really. I started trying a couple times. It's like, this doesn't feed me. It's an interesting time passer, but it doesn't leave me in a stronger emotional state than when I started.
Ah, that's a brilliant like check-in. So it sounds like you tried it. I
Mhm.
mean, I'm relatively slutty. I'm out.
So I've had
I'm out on a
opportunities.
basis. But so you tried it and you took note of whether it actually left you in an improved emotional state,
Right. And
right?
that hasn't always been true. Early on in our relationship, I would do things that were basically numbing.
Yeah. Yep.
And that left me, and I mean, we could go back and track it. And like all the times that you have come back and it has ended up in a fight are probably because, not because, a contributing factor is that I did numbing behaviors that didn't leave me better resourced than when you left.
Mm.
And sometimes less resourced, because numbing has its place,
Yeah, conscious numbing can be
but
productive.
developing your well, developing my emotional resilience is not one of the things that I get from numbing.
Yeah. And
Uh,
I used to see you do that. You would, I would come home and, like this would be, I would come home from a date, from a, and a sexual date in particular, but like come home at like 12 or 1 or
yeah,
even 11 and find you already like soundly asleep, clearly asleep for a long time. And like you'd put yourself to bed at like 8 o'clock.
right.
And so you were literally just like numbing out. You were doing the
Yeah.
sleeping beauty method.
So
Um,
that didn't work for
which
me.
I'm not
Didn't work
capable
for
of
us.
doing personally, but I wish I were, but I'm not. So yeah, that didn't tend to work out.
I
Though
mean,
it did leave you well resourced to have sex when I got home,
it did.
which I was not sad about.
Yeah. Long as you could be patient while I woke up.
I don't I have
Yeah, actually, you
ways.
didn't need to be patient. Yeah, you just
I have methods.
he'll wake up eventually.
It's I say that in jest. Obviously, these are consensual interactions.
Totally, totally.
Um,
Yeah, so things that leave me more resourced than when you left is very important. And obviously, I mean, I could make my list, but it has no bearing on any particular listener. What?
okay, I wanna make my list though.
Yeah.
So, because I am an operationalizer
I
at
mean, I
heart.
do want to make my list. I just want to make it clear that it's not the list. It's just my list.
Right,
So what's your okay,
but
you're
here's
out
the
on.
thing, like, we need our imaginations stretched,
Yeah,
especially if you're
right.
newer to non-monogamy
Yep.
or if you are having an experience like, maybe you've been non-monogamous for a long time, but all of a sudden your partner is partnered to somebody who like, totally trips your jealousy meter. You're
Mhm.
like, "Wait,
Mhm.
we've been open for 10 years and now I'm fucked up about this? What the hell?" Like,
Yeah.
that can be infuriating because you thought, "No, I got this. This is in the bag, no problem." And then all of a sudden, mm, it is a problem. So I find like I have felt the need to stretch people's imaginations by literally sharing what I do because
Okay.
I struggle with jealousy big time. And let's name it. When somebody says to me, "What do I do when my partner is out and anxiety is up?" Um, can I just mention, if your partner's out and your anxiety's up, you're feeling jealousy. You're feeling a threat to a valued relationship. Let's not shy away from just using the word jealousy. I am a jealousy researcher. I am committed to this. I get jealous. I non-monogamy does not save us from jealousy, nor does monogamy. When I'm feeling that jealousy, it might be very light, just a light sense of sort of free floating worry that something could interrupt us or that you could like someone more. I could feel envy mixed with that jealousy because, oh, maybe this person is sexier than me or knows how to
Yeah, there's a
do
yummy
reverse
cocktail.
cowgirl in a way I just can't pull off. I don't know. Like, there are a million ways, but when jealousy is up, let's remember that, like, the jealousy roadmap, like, there is a very clear I have a clear worksheet. We'll make sure that it's linked in the show notes for what do we do when jealousy is up, because this can
Okay.
actually be a huge growth experience. If you decide to say, "Oh, I'm kinda miserable. But right now, I know my jealousy's here. Let's work the worksheet. Let's like do the thing. Let's take the action because working through the jealousy roadmap is about practicing uh, gaining wisdom from your jealousy so that you actually build intimacy with yourself, build intimacy with your partners. So I just want to say, before we try to fix that anxiety, let's make sure that we're actually gaining the wisdom that is
Oh, that's
available
good.
to us.
Yeah.
um, Now that said, I work with my jealousy a lot, and I don't need to work with my jealousy every damn time. Every time you're away from me, like I don't need
Yeah.
to do
You
that.
don't have to do
Um,
that.
Sometimes I want to have an enjoyable time, and because of how I am, um, I know that I need a plan. So I get very, very specific about this. I have an actual plan. I write down my plan. It will be it's going to be like checklist form, like it's it's going to be enumerated. And the reason I make this plan is I want to know that I am intentionally building a pleasurable experience for myself. 'Cause
Yeah.
why wouldn't I? So you were kinda more casual about it. You're like, "Yeah, I'll watch a movie or something." Nope. I need I need an actual plan because when I am either caught by jealousy or the, I'm feeling that sense of just, I don't even know whether this is jealousy yet, but I got something coming up.
Mhm.
All of a sudden, my brain goes blank, and I can't think of anything. I've never wanted to be alone in my
Oh,
life. I'm which
yeah.
is not true.
That's
I
not true.
love being alone. Um, but all of a sudden my mind goes blank, which puts me in a position to again, like blame you or get angry with you because I'm having feelings. But my feelings are mine to work with. And one of the ways I can work with them is create a pleasant experience for
Right.
myself. Actively, this could be thought of as dating yourself. This could be thought of as doing your self love work. Be with yourself. But I need the reminder. So I have to actually like plan a date with myself. So I do. I plan out which movie I'm going to watch and because I am me, I will turn on a movie. It always has to be a familiar movie. Because I don't actually want new story. You tend to want a new story, and I tend to want a familiar story. But I want a familiar story because I'm also going to read a book while I'm watching that movie, and then sometimes also have music on in the background and sometimes also put on my roller skates at the same time. It's possible I like high stimulation.
It's
Um,
possible.
so
Well, yeah, you
I
mentioned stimulation and, something that's pleasurable for yourself. I mean, all the things that I said are true, and I don't tend to make a plan the way you do, and I tend to go for new stuff. You're right, new stories,
well,
and
and stories are
also,
great.
good, yeah, and also I'll masturbate.
Well, so that I usually put that later. So first
Right, but I don't have a plan, so it kind of happens whenever,
or maybe just the whole time.
or just the whole
Just
time.
the
Yeah,
whole
there's no
time.
particular plan.
I mean, so I make a plan and usually I'll have like I I will treat myself to just an immersive experience in whatever like media I want to take in and usually I will have I love when I get to have made a yummy dinner for myself, but I do love it. You are very kind and caring, and often you'll, like, set aside a little something like my chia pudding or a little, like, yogurt and berries or something for me, so that I also have, like, a little treat, that I know you were thoughtful about, which just as an anchor and nesting partnership, it's a lovely gesture. You don't have to do it, but when you do, it is really well received. Um and then, yeah, when I'm going to bed, there are some things I'm not gonna skip, and it would be super easy to. I probably will also do
Mm,
some nervous system regulation. So usually I'll cold plunge and then either take a long hot shower afterwards or get in the hot tub. So I'll do a long cold plunge and then a long, warm up too. And then when I get in bed though, I mean, if I wanna fuel my suffering narrative,
mhm,
there's a way to do it, right? If I
mm,
get in bed and I'm cold and, I'm, like, grouchy, so I, like, make myself suffer, and one of the ways I can do that is and I can catch myself, I won't put my heaty pad in bed,
ah,
right? I
mhm.
won't make sure my feet are warm, and so then I'm suffering and I get pouty and so petulant and childish. So, it is about being practical. I make sure I put a heating pad in the bed, I make sure I've regulated my nervous system, and then I pleasure stack. I masturbate, and depending on what mood I'm in, we've had other episodes where I've talked about the arousal factor of jealousy for me.
Yep.
And in my study, about 30% of participants reported arousal tied to jealousy. So, since I'm literally in a moment where I have access to jealous material, I will pleasure stack that and I'll be making sure I'm super comfortable in bed and masturbate in a way that I really, really like, and also allow myself to contemplate what it is you're doing and who it is you're doing it with, and let myself feel all of that. Now, for somebody else, it might be quite the opposite. You might want to even use erotica or porn so that you can specifically focus your erotic energy on yourself or other material. Um, it's totally up to you, but I love having this plan. And if you're going to be gone overnight, I make my sure my plan goes all the way overnight
That's a pretty good idea. I,
because I am not. Otherwise, I could totally unspool in the morning.
I have not being the planner, I have had times when I ran out of things to do, like, "Uh-oh." And like you said, now I kinda go blank a little bit, but I do have a fallback. When that happens, I generally pour myself a drink and sit down at the piano.
Oh,
So I have a
that
fallback
yeah, that makes total sense, right? It's
'cause it occupies I mean, it's all my fingers. It occupies my brain in a particular way. It occupies my body in a particular way. I get
I
feedback.
feel like we should call that pulling a Billy Joel. I feel like it's your piano man move. Okay. Also very sexy. I have come home to you in that state.
Yep.
That is a good way to get yourself laid.
Which let's not um let's not gloss over that. Um I have made sure that when you came home to me as sexy as I could. Knowing what you know about me, I would arrange for you to come home to me at my best.
You have.
And that like so
You have,
if
and especially in the last, 7 or 8 years, I would say,
yeah,
really, I've really seen you lean into that. So I
right.
don't find you, sleeping even, or
No.
if you are sleeping, it's in that way that, the corner light is on really low because I
Yeah.
can it's an invitation.
It's an
I know it's an
invitation.
invitation
Right.
to wake you
Mhm.
up if I want
Because
to,
and
which is not
because
an expectation. I know I don't have to, but
no, but over the years we have learned what the okay, so this brings us to partings and returns.
yeah,
um, we have learned what the return is, what a good return is like for us, like what the qualities of a good return are.
yeah,
And I learned it eventually and started to respond to them and plan for them and make it so that when you got home, you were able to, it wasn't just a hard stop. It wasn't just like a jarring return to um, being at home.
or
You could,
banality. Like,
or the
you
banality,
treat it
right?
like you treat that. I see you not retreat into some sense of like, I need to make it up to you because I was out. So good job. And you don't
Yeah.
just drop me back into yeah, banality or mundanity. You actually treat it like an extension of
Yeah,
like, oh,
okay.
look, specialness.
Right. So there's empathy is the other thing that I use to counteract whatever else I might be feeling is, yeah, how would I want to come home? What would I want? And
Yeah.
obviously that's not the whole story because it's more important what you're looking for if I want to make it a good experience, but it's a good starting point.
Well, and this is a collaborative experience.
Yeah.
We talk about in the year of opening, we often talk about, well, have you made a plan for how you're parting and how you're re-entering
Yeah.
each other's shared space? And this goes for long distance partners too. This isn't just about nesting partners. Like, how do you handle those transition times? Transitions are very vulnerable times.
Yeah.
We can be at our best or our worst in a transition. I happen to struggle with transitions quite a lot, so I do a lot of caretaking for myself, self-care work around transitions to
Mhm.
ease that. And you seem to flow with them more easily, but when we make a plan, one of the things I love about how we handle reentry is we separate out connection versus debriefing.
Yes. Mhm.
Separate those 2 things out. So that's the other thing I would do when if you were feeling jealous or whatever, so both people who are coming back together at any given point probably have stuff to share. Um, and you may even have agreements. Ideally, you have agreements about what gets shared, what kind of transparency you're looking for, all the things, but understand what your connection needs are first.
Yeah.
Engage
Right.
in your connection because this actually builds compersion too. This facilitates a sense of, oh, I can be happy for your happiness because I'm reconnecting and syncing up to your nervous system again. And I remember that we're here, we're in this, we're on the same team. This is awesome. Um, but if I skip that and I go
Mhm.
straight to debriefing,
Yep.
which so many of us do,
And that can
um,
go in either direction too. You if you were out and you came home and just started uh dumping your experience on
yeah,
me
good,
and
bad, or
I
indifferent.
wasn't yeah, and I just wasn't ready for whatever. But the other thing that could happen is you come home and I dump my stuff on you.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think that keeping that having a plan for exactly how that's going to go based on what you know about each other.
Yeah, in my experience, we have to have a plan. We have to stay
Yeah.
flexible. And
Yep.
the plan needs to be based on pattern detection over the course of time because, like, I my reconnection time is actually pretty short, surprisingly short to me. I need like 5 to 15 minutes of careful reconnection time. If I've been like across the country, I'll probably want like 30 to 90 minutes. But then yeah, I'm ready to do debriefing. I'm ready to get into the details of whatever it is that we have committed to sharing and making sure that like we have to also hold sacred whatever we have promised is not in our sharing realm
Right.
as well
Right.
because our metamors have needs as well, and that's a whole other conversation. But that experience of sorting out the debriefing, for some people, that means needs to be an entirely different day, or that debriefing conversation may actually need to happen with your counselor, coach, or support group. You may need to take that to another whole realm because debriefing is about sharing like details and then sharing like about, okay, how's this working for you? But reconnection happens in the moment when you first enter into
Right.
proximity with each other again. And that can even be so like sometimes I'll be leaving a date and I'll give you a phone call because I have a long drive. And sometimes I'm just like, yeah, sure, let's talk on the phone. That's part of the reconnection then.
Yeah.
Not getting into the debriefing can be helpful because otherwise we haven't totally reconnected.
Yeah.
We're just sort of in this liminal space. And um,
And that
these are
can
ways
feel
that,
disconnecting.
yeah, and these are ways
Mhm.
that I manage that the anxiety and jealousy over the course of time because what I do this time will inform what happens the next time. Like it starts to form the pattern that my
Yeah.
body mind comes to expect. And so now, okay, the last 3 times you were out, not only did I have to manage my jealousy and feelings and anxiety and all that, but then when you got home, it didn't go well, and
Yeah.
here's how it didn't go well. And now I start to build up, ugh, now I'm feeling stuff, maybe resentment or like I'm just feeling more anxiety because I'm like, okay, now when you get home, there's this expectation and I know how it's going to play out, or I think I know.
Yeah.
So making some plans and actually learning, like this is a great place to use a minimum viable agreement. There's another episode on those on relationship agreements 101, um, talking about like, okay, how can we do this? Like, how do we plan
And
for a
there it
really
is.
good reentry
Yeah.
for us? It's
For
personal.
us specifically, right, and there it is. What do so what do I do and what do we do to reduce the anxiety or jealousy, or not reduce, but manage? Um, we we have a plan for our parting. It's not just wander off. There's some sort of
Yeah,
intentional
that doesn't work for
that
us
doesn't work for us,
personally.
so we have an intentional separation. Um, There's some level of plan for what the person who isn't going out, which sometimes I've gone out. Like,
Oh,
that's
yeah, I
the other
mean,
thing is like,
sometimes we're both out. I
but
mean,
there's a
that's
plan,
yeah.
so that there's like, uh, so expectations are as clear as possible for each of us individually, and then there's a plan for the return, and all of that adds up to um, a higher chance of a positive experience.
Yeah, especially when we think about this is skill building over time.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
It's skill building. It took us years to figure out
Years.
what worked,
Yep.
and I'm still learning all the time because, like I said before, sometimes one of us will have a partner that for some reason elicits a
Yep.
bigger set of feels.
Yeah.
So we got new
And
stuff to
now
learn.
now there's new elements. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for getting into this and getting personal.
Thank
We talk to you all the time. It is absolutely imperative to me that we get to hear from you as
you.
well.
Yes, please.
So, we'd love to invite you to join us. Join Ken and I. We're holding monthly Ask Me Anythings. You can show up, bring your questions from podcast episodes, from your relationships, bring questions about non monogamy, about individuation, about relationship skills. We would love to share space with you. We're hosting these AMAs free of charge for our podcast listeners. You are the Playing with Fire community, and it matters a ton to us that we connect with you directly. So
Oh,
go,
I would so love to hear your questions, and oh, it'd be so awesome.
yeah. Go to joliehamilton.com/AMA and you'll find a way to sign up real quick. and get an invitation to join us in a small group where we're going to get together and talk about all things non monogamy, individuation, and relationships.